Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, the show that takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible.
Welcome to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo, and I was just thinking the other day, it is absolutely crazy. We are on the countdown till 2020. I mean, there's only days until it's here. So that's why today I wanted to talk to you about making the most out of the last few weeks of the year. I mean, it is absolutely crazy. It is only the last few weeks of the year. We are a week into December, which means we're counting down the days of 2019. And I think 2019 has been one hell of a year. But now it's time to kickstart and put our energy into 2020. It's a new year and a new time for new beginnings, opportunities, and adventures. And most importantly, a time for growth and reflection. So I'm going to talk to you about making the last few weeks of 2019 count so you can go into 2020 with a happy and healthy mindset. So I really think that feeling put together and organized before starting a new year can seriously be the best feeling in the entire world. That's why we need to make the last weeks of 2019 count. I mean, December can be a really, really happy month. You know, there's Christmas, the holidays. It's usually a very joyful time. Everyone's kind of giving back. You get to see your family usually. A lot of people actually travel around this time. You know, and the excitement of a new year is here. And so it's kind of exciting and it's new and it's fun. And, you know, you get to go see pretty lights. And December can be such a fun month. But it can also be really hard for a lot of people. The holidays can bring up things from the past, family life. You know, a lot of people feel lonely, brings to the surface family issues, friends issues, personal issues. It's that time of year that it can be really joyful, but it also can remind you of those lonely things in your life as well. And the weather, usually I shouldn't say no matter where you live, but depending on where you live, the weather can be not so great. I live somewhere where there is a lot of snow, and so December is very dreary, and it's snowing a lot, raining, so it kind of brings down your mood because you're not seeing the sunlight as much, which is hard. And this year can be expensive for a lot of people, of course, because of the holidays and all of that, and the pressure to, you know, have a great Christmas and do all these different things, and also to be ready for the new year. This time of year sparks a lot of mental health problems for a lot of people. Loneliness, you know, it's a time to feel a little heavy, more emotional. Some people would call it seasonal depression for a lot of things. And so, yeah, it can be a great month, but it can also bring a lot of hard things for a lot of people. But I think most importantly, it is a time to be grateful for what we have. And it's okay to admit that it brings up the hard times for you as well. Because I think a lot of people, it brings up both. You know, it's a jolly time, but it is also hard and it brings up a lot of emotions. So I don't think, you know, we shouldn't just accept this month as it just being like, oh, okay, it's just December. I just got to get through this. I just got to set my tree up, you know. I'll just get by, bake some cookies, you know, move on, and it'll be over in a month. You know, I think that we need to challenge ourselves. We need to use this month and this time to really strive and reflect and dig deep into what we want and really jumpstart 2020 in a great way with a positive and a happy mindset. So we need to stop ourselves before we dig this pit of negative. You know, we need to get back out. which of course is easier said than done. But look at it like this. make the most out of the last chapter of 2019. This is it. Everything we do from here on out is what sets the tone for how we end this chapter in our lives and how we're going to take on 2020. So use these last few weeks to strive and really work on you and what you want in life. You know, it's important to enjoy what we have and not focus on what we don't have or what we want later on. You know, it's important to focus on what's here and what has evolved. You know, really absorb 2019. What it was, what it is. Accept that for right now, what you have, and how far you've come. You know, slow down. A lot of people think this time of year you got to jumpstart all your goals and your dreams and you got to get on that health kick and everything. Let's just take a deep breath, slow down, and enjoy the last moments of this chapter. Enjoy the last few weeks of 2019. Make the most of it. Do what makes you happy. So that's why I want to touch on New Year's resolutions, because I think that it can be very difficult. You know, there's a lot of pressure to start planning, what are my goals going to be for the new year? What am I going to do in 2020? And it can be a huge list of things in so many different areas of your life. I really have mixed feelings about New Year's resolutions, honestly. I'm a list maker, and I'm always making or updating my goal list, and I think we should always have things that we're aiming for or working on. But New Year's is just an excuse to make a goal list. It's an excuse to jumpstart another thing in your life. It's an extra push to get things together, and I think that's great. And I really think about, you know, it makes you really think what you want in life and what you need. But the thing with New Year's resolutions is that a lot of time you make this list of goals that could be so long and you put all the pressure to perform these goals right off the bat. And a lot of the time we're not able to sustain it. It's unrealistic for as soon as January 1st hits, we're suddenly on track of everything we want or need in life. It can set us up for failure with a lot of pressure riding on this day, you know, riding on the get-go of this. And a lot of time it can make us upset because we aren't able to sustain those goals and we feel like we have failed ourselves. So I think that's why it's so important to practice things on an everyday basis. We all have a list of goals and things we want to change or work on. And yeah, maybe New Year's is a great time to jumpstart those things, but I think we need to look at them more as a day-to-day basis thing to work on. You know, don't wait till January 1st to suddenly jump on your health train or read more or start practice. You got to start practicing these things now. Let yourself ease into these. Give yourself a little wiggle room just in case you slip up a little bit. You know, it's not as much pressure. And like tackling a huge list of things January 1st, okay, I need to change my diet, I need to read more, I need to do this, I need to do this. You can't just completely change your ways just because it hit January 1st, 2020. It's not realistic. It's not going to happen. So if you start to ease your way in, you know, spend the last few weeks of 2019, first of all, thinking about your goals and what you want, but start implementing them into your everyday life. Just practice things on a day-to-day basis. You know, like I said, it's not just because it hits January 1st. We have to jump into the gym or cook more at home or drink 5 liters of water or suddenly travel more. Whatever it may be. There's always goals that we have in many different areas of our life. And New Year's is definitely a great time to open up your eyes to what you want in life and what you need to make you happy. But it's important to just slow down and let yourself ease into these things, not put so much pressure, because we can't just change everything just because, like I said, it hits January 1st and all of a sudden you have to be on your A game. It's just not realistic. So this year, instead of making a huge list that you call New Year's resolutions, you have a list of 20 different things of aspects in your life, just try picking one thing about yourself that you want to focus on this year. And you can make your goal list for everything else you want, but don't say that as your New Year's resolutions, Try to make one specific thing about yourself. For example, I think my New Year's resolution is going to be to show up a little bit more for myself, follow through with my word, strive and go after what I want. It's pretty broad. I can apply that to all aspects in my life, personal, professional, whatever it may be. But that's the one New Year's resolution that I'm going to have this year. plus the list of however many that I had before, because trust me, I do have a huge list. We all have things that we want to work on, we want to change, and we want to make the adjustment. But by having the one New Year's resolution that just directly affects who you are and what you want in 2020, who you want to be, that's great. And then you can focus on that. And of course, it's going to be a day-to-day working experience as well. You can't just change that overnight either. But I think it just gives us a more easy mindset, and it sets us up for success, not failure. You know, we're not overwhelmed with all these things. So spend these few weeks of 2019 starting to implement your goals and your dreams into your everyday life. Why wait till January 1st? Start now. You're going to be making the most out of 2020 before it's even started. And you're going to be ending 2019 on such a good note. Just remember, too, that it's so important to set realistic expectations, realistic goals for yourself. And remember that small goals are just as much as a victory as a larger goal. Every single thing that we do is a milestone. It is a next step to achieving and being the person that you really want to be. So don't be afraid to make small goals. They really do go a long way. So to summarize everything that I just said, think of the last few weeks of 2019 as, you know, the end of each chapter and the beginning of a new one. Start implementing your goals and your resolution now. Don't wait till January 1st. You know, you got to think about your goals and think about what you want, but try to implement it into your day-to-day life right now. And I think you're going to be setting yourself up for a lot more success when January 1st does hit. Because, you know, you already started. You've already had a kickstart of 2020, entering it with a positive and happy mindset. And then remember to set at least one, I suggest one resolution that's a broad thing about yourself that you can also work on throughout 2020. So it's time to take a little break, but when we get back, I'm going to touch on some points that you should definitely do in the last few weeks of 2019 to jumpstart 2020 with a healthy and happy mindset. So stay tuned.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
And we're back listening to GSMC Life and Happiness podcast brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. So, like I said before the break, I do have some very good points that I think that you will really help you jumpstart your 2020 in a healthy, happy mindset. It's going to help get you where you want to be and take on 2020 with all forces. So, the number one thing that I think that we should all do is reflect on our year. But most importantly, focus on the lessons that you've learned throughout 2019. Reflect on the last 12 months and look for lessons and insights about yourself and what works. You know, what did you learn? I really like doing a reflection column list where, you know, one column can be the lesson, what did you learn? And then the next one, how did it affect you? How did it did you grow from it? How did you grow from it? And then what is the action now? So, you know, take a look at the past 12 months and really reflect on what you learned, how you grew from those things, your very difficult situation. Like, it's important to look at your hard times and how you grew from those. Are you still growing from those? Probably. How has it affected you? How has it changed you in the past year? And you can even think back to the people that you had in your life throughout the year. Are they still in your life? And if so, how do they affect you or make you feel? How do they benefit you? If not, reflect on that. Is it good? Is it positive? Maybe there's people you don't have in your life at the beginning and now you do. What role do they play in your life now? What are your growths in your relationships? There's so many things to look back at, but it's remember to look back on the positive and the negative. Reflect on the uncomfortable so you can carry the lessons and the growth into the new year without guilt, grudge, negativity, any of those unhealthy mindset things. So reflect on the lessons that you learned, reflect on your hard times, how it affected you, and how you're growing from it currently, or how you did grow from it. How did it change you? So I just want to give you a list of some questions that you could ask yourself while you're doing your reflection. Like, what am I most proud of this year? What did I do that made me, I am the most proud for doing? What was my biggest success? What was my biggest mistake? What made me the saddest and why? What things do I want to repeat? Or opposite, what things do I want to avoid in the future? What habits helped me most out of this last year? And what habits or things that I did that drained my energy or reduced my productivity? The second thing that we need to do in the last few weeks of 2019 is celebrate your wins. So this is really important to, like I said, reflect on the bad things that happened, the negativity, things that made you grow, things that made you uncomfortable. And it's also really important to celebrate your wins. What are your victories over the past year? What did you accomplish? So now, that you've asked yourself those, you reflected on those questions, take time to actually celebrate those things. Take the time to appreciate them because you deserve it. You worked so hard and you do work so hard. So do something memorable to celebrate those things. Take the time out to go out and have fun. These last few weeks of 2019 don't have to be like organization and goal making and cleaning and trying to get on track right away. Enjoy the last few weeks of 2019. End this chapter on a very happy note by doing something memorable. Maybe check something off your bucket list. Celebrate you. Celebrate who you were in 2019 and who you're going to become. Celebrate the things that made you happy, the things that you feel successful for, that you feel proud of. Take the time to go out and do that. You ought to make the effort to celebrate you and the things that you work so hard and that you accomplished. You got to let yourself feel proud of your accomplishments. And let yourself just go out and have a good time. Like I said, there's no point of staying inside and making goal lists the last few weeks of 2019. Enjoy it. End it on a happy note. End it on a fun note. Do something crazy. Do something memorable. Check something off your bucket list because you deserve it. You just made it through a whole another year where you accomplished amazing things. So keep the happy vibes going. End on a positive note. And really let yourself celebrate your wins. So now the third thing that I want to share with you that we should do in the last few weeks of 2019 is sharing your gratitude. Thank those who have helped you over the past year. It's not that common that we achieve things completely alone. We have, insight, advice even if, maybe it's not like a partnership with someone that made you achieve something, but maybe it was just advice or someone supporting you who was there for you, who gave you the ideas, some coaching maybe, who educated you on those things, who was there to pat you on the back and celebrate with you when you did win those accomplishments, when you did have those victories, whether they were small or big, and who was there to pick you back up when you fell down, because we all had hard times in 2019, so who was there to pick you back up and make sure you got back on your feet, and who was there to encourage you or give you some extra confidence? Think about these people. Think about the ones that stuck by your side through some of the not so great things, who supported you no matter what. Your friends, your family. Maybe you made some new friends that you would really like to thank just to have that you enjoyed having their company in the past year, or some new colleagues. Maybe you got a new job over the past year and it's really helped you grow. Show your gratitude to those people. You know, maybe that's someone that took a chance on you. There's so many different possibilities, so many people that we could think of that helped us out through 2019. And I think it's really wonderful to go back and thank them. Take this time to let them know how much you appreciate them and what they did for you in 2019. First of all, it's going to make you feel great. It's going to make them feel great. And it'll create a thicker bond between you and that person to ensure that your relationship continues to blossom and grow and be supportive throughout 2020. You know, like I said, you got to implement the things that you want for 2020 now. Start doing this in your day-to-day basis. And if one of them is building strong relationships with people, having good friendships, start doing that now by thanking those people for being by your side in 2019 or doing whatever they did for you. Maybe you'll verbally thank some people or write some letters or cards, or maybe you'll do way more for certain people, whatever it may be. Literally, a simple acknowledgement can go such a long way in relationships and boosting other people's spirits, as well as your own. It makes us feel good to say thank you, to let the people that we know, that we care about, that we appreciate them. So show your gratitude for the people in 2019 that really helped you get to where you are. This is going to be influencing more positive relationships for the new year for yourself. You're already jumpstarting 2020 by making sure the people that you had in 2019 feel appreciated, wanted, and acknowledged, that you really see what they did for you, whether it be big or small. So share your gratitude. It's going to make you feel really, really great. And number 4, for some of the things that we need to do before 2019 ends here, is make new plans. Start building your future and your 2020 adventures now. I touched on this subject before the break about, you know, making your goal list and your resolutions and implementing those things now and what you should do exactly. But think about it some more. What are the things that you really want to accomplish? What are the things you really want to check off your bucket list? Not just things that you want to grow from, your goals, your personal goals, but where do you want to go? What do you want to see in 2020? What kind of relationships do you want to build? And how are you going to get there? Make a game plan. You know, making plans and saying, I'm going to travel to here at some point, but having no way or means or organizations of how you're going to save to go there, you know, that's just a dream then, right? Make action plans. Start building your future of 2020. Start building your adventures now. But remember that you need to be realistic. We all, most of us at least, want to travel the world. I want to go to Europe and all over. And I wish that I could do that in 2020. But for me in 2020, that's not realistic because I have other things going on. So you need to remember that you can't travel to 15 different countries in 1 year sometimes. Sometimes we get lucky and we can. But you got to be realistic with yourself. So remember to set places that you want to go or things that you want to see or relationships that you want to build that are realistic for your life and where you're heading in 2020. And remember that these things can change later on down the road. This is just your start of an action plan, you know? It's like manifesting what you want in 2020. It's like making a dream board or an inspiration board. You're seeing, okay, I want to go here, I want to do this, I want to do this. And you see those things, you're starting to manifest it into your life so you can have those things in 2020. But make a plan. Know where you want to go and what you want to see, because if you start realizing and thinking of these things now, you're going to feel way more inclined to keep them going. You're going to get excited about it and you're going to make an action plan. You're going to start budgeting for the trip that you want to do later on down the road in 2020. You're going to start understanding that and making that plan for what you have to do to get there. So this is just a plan. It's an outline, of course. It's going to get you excited for where you want to go and what you want to do. But things will probably change along the road. We have no idea what a future holds in 2020 exactly, right? But we can try to be inspired and try to aim it down a road that we really want. So I think it's great to make a plan. Make your dreams of where you want to go, what you want to see in 2020. You know, life is so short. We have to make every single minute count. So start making your plans and start making your action plan. Well, it's time for another break, but after the break, I am going to be talking to you about perception and organization and the last few things that you need to do to make the most of the last few weeks of 2019. So don't go anywhere.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
We are back to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. In episode 5, I touched a little bit about perception, how we perceive things, how we perceive others, our world, and ourselves, and how perception is our reality. It becomes our reality. So, for the last few weeks of 2019, you might need to change your perception. You are creating your reality with the way that you are perceiving things. So maybe you're going into the new year and you just need a new perception on things. Certain aspects of your life. It doesn't have to be everything. It doesn't have to be, personal, professional, whatever it is. It could just be certain little things that you need to change your perception on in the new year. So maybe you've realized throughout making your goal list and your resolution list and your plans, what you want to see, what you want to do, you're finding that you need to perceive things a little bit differently. Whether that be others, your world, or yourself. But remember that changing your perception takes time, practice, and awareness. It is not easy to do, and it will definitely be a journey. It's going to be a journey throughout the entire 2020, your entire next year, the entire next chapter of your life. If you want to change your perception on things, it takes time. But it's important to be aware that you do want to change your perception in 2020 on certain things and recognize that and be aware of it right now, because it's not easy. But when you are more aware of your surroundings and yourself, your mindset, then we can catch our negative thoughts or the thoughts that don't serve us well. You can catch that because you're being more aware. So it's important to focus on what you have right in front of you at the moment, what you do have. Be aware of your surroundings, who you are, who's around you. Be aware of all that. And then use these last few weeks of the year to appreciate what you have and how far you've come. Just because it's the last few weeks of the year, it doesn't mean that you need to put all your energy into focusing on what's next, into your future. Like I've said earlier in the episode, you need to learn how to enjoy the present. Be aware of who you are at this time, and that will give you a better and clearer mind to see you can see what you need later on down the road. It'll help you decide if you do need a different perception on things. Because we perceive things in all different lights, and that creates our reality. So if you want to change your reality for 2020, you're going to need to change your perception on certain aspects. Where do you want to go? How do you want to change your perception? So focus on you right now, your surroundings, your growth. Look at your reflection charts of how far you've come, what lessons you've learned, the insights that you've had. And then look at your plans. Look at where you want to go, how you want to get there, the relationships you want to build, What are your goal lists? What are your plans? Think of those things. And do you need to change your perception to get there, to be who you want to be in 2020? Maybe. And if so, just remember that it takes time. You can't just change your perception overnight, just like you can't all of a sudden have your entire life together as soon as January 1st hits. So take your time and be patient with yourself. Now, the next thing that I want to touch base on is being organized. I think this is such a cliche thing to end a year, purge your closet, clean your house. And it is. But seriously, it makes you feel so much better. You know that feeling when you purge your closet? When you clean out all the things that you've been holding on to for so long, you're freeing up space, you're decluttering, you're getting rid of things that you don't need or maybe that just don't serve you anymore. It is cliche to end a year by cleaning your house, but seriously, it makes you feel better and it does set you up for a great year. I personally have a very hard time getting rid of clothes. I'm always like, hey, but what if I need this one day? Like, in this scenario at this time, I might need this, so I'm just going to hold on just in case that ever happens. And usually it doesn't happen. But if you haven't worn it all year, just give it away. There are so many good charities and places that will take your clothes and put it to good use. Things that you have been sitting in the back of your closet can be someone else's favorite new shirt. So go through your closet, go through your house, whatever it is, and purge the things you don't want. And end 2019 by giving back. Not just because it's the holiday season, but because you want to jumpstart 2020 by giving to others as well. Maybe that's part of your goal list, part of your resolutions is to give back more. Well, purge your closet, purge your house, and give it to those people who need it. There's so many places that will take it. So being organized is just going to give you a fresher mindset. You're going to basically create a clean slate in your own house or your bedroom, whatever it is. You're starting fresh with things. And then you can add new things throughout the new year. Go through your keepsakes, what you hold on to and what you don't hold on to, and really think about things. Do I really need this or do I not really need this? When you declutter and you create more space for yourself, you're going to see things in a little bit of a different light. Maybe you purge your closet and you realize, you know what, I deserve a shopping spree. I deserve to go get a few new things. Or I really don't need to shop anymore. I can give back more. Whatever it may be. Starting the first week off in January with a clean house, a clean slate, it's a great start to kick off 2020. So now, don't just organize your house, don't just organize your room, but organizing your thoughts and the things in your mind, your feelings, your emotions is very important as well. Like we've touched on before, organizing your list, your goal list, what you're thankful for, who you need to thank for 2019, all those things are great. You need to organize those thoughts in your head. But also organize, daily reminders for yourself. Maybe you like sticky notes of little affirmations for yourself. Start organizing those now. Start implementing those things into your life. Put a sticky note on your bathroom mirror saying that you're beautiful because it's going to make you feel good. And maybe that's one of your things in 2019 that you want to do. You want to write more positive affirmations for yourself. I personally think journals are so underrated. They are such a powerful tool. Whether you're a natural writer or not, writing in a journal allows you to express yourself with absolutely no judgment. And you can just splat words on a page. No one else has to read it. Only you have to read it. So you can splat whatever you want on your journal, on your page. Word vomit. I like to call it word vomit, And it truly is. You can just write whatever you want and express yourself in any way that you want. This is decluttering and organizing your brain. You're filtering out the things that you don't need in there by writing them down in your journal. None of it might not make sense. You might be writing one thing and then all of a sudden that makes you think of another thing that you want to talk about to yourself or that you need to get out. Write it down. I strongly suggest getting a journal and just writing. And I know not everybody is a writer, but it's true. And I do have one note. Don't do this on your computer. Don't do this on your phone. Even if you're a techie person, try to grab a pen and a piece of paper or your journal and your pen, whatever it may be. Because writing really does get your creative juices flowing. There's something about your brain to your hand action and what comes out on paper. It's different than you typing on your computer, and it's different than you typing on your phone. So get old school, grab a pen or a pencil and a piece of paper and just start writing. Start decluttering your brain. All of a sudden, you're going to feel relieved from stress and anxiety and anything that was holding you back. You have it out on a page, you can see it, and it could be completely random, not make any sense. And it doesn't have to be paragraph after paragraph. You don't need to write a novel. It can just be point form, whatever you want. But by decluttering your brain and these thoughts that you need to get out, you're making room for new opportunities and new thoughts, new positive thoughts. You're filtering out negative things that happened in 2019 or negative, deep down, subconscious things that you've been dealing with that maybe you didn't realize you're dealing with. And you're putting those all on a piece of paper. So now you have room for more positive things in 2020. This is easier said than done sometimes. I get it. But really just sit down with a pen and a piece of paper and write. Whatever comes to your mind. Listen to your gut. Don't think about what you need to write. Because it will, after you do this, you're going to reduce stress. And the things that you write down on the page, you might be overthinking them, or they might be in your subconscious and you don't even realize it. So by writing them and getting them out in front of you, you're going to feel relief off of you. And it's going to increase some self-understanding. Where are you at? How are you doing? Where is your mind at? And what do you want? What do you need? There's going to be things that you write down that you had no idea about. And it helps resolve problems internally. Like I said, things that you don't even know that you needed to resolve. Things that you didn't know that you were internally battling with. All of a sudden, they're on a piece of paper in front of you, and you're like, oh, I didn't realize how much that affected me in 2019. How much I need to forgive myself or let go or whatever the case may be. You might see that on a piece of paper, and it's going to bring you relief. And it can uncover questions that make you think about, makes you think about questions that you want to ask yourself, maybe that you want to ask others. You're bringing awareness to yourself. You're helping your self-reflection and setting your goals and maybe changing your perception by doing this. All of a sudden you write this thing in your journal and you're like, you know what? I need to change my perception on that. It all connects together. It all helps you jumpstart 2019 in a great, healthy way. And lastly, I want to touch about decluttering your social media. Social media is huge. I mean, it is completely blown up. I feel like especially in 2019, it's just blown up for so many people, and a lot of us rely on it for a lot of things. It can bring us a lot of joy, posting photos that we love, sharing the adventures that we go on, and connecting with friends and family. But it can also be hard on us. We always have this idea that we got to post the perfect picture or be perfect, and you have to portray this life online. At least some people try to, right? And maybe we follow people on social media that make us feel not so great about ourselves, or we're subscribed to something that really doesn't serve us anymore. By decluttering your social media, by hitting the unfollow or the unsubscribe or freshening up your Facebook friends list, whatever the case may be, this is going to relieve stress off your shoulder. You're going to be starting with another clean slate, another healthier mindset, on a different platform, on your social media platforms. All of a sudden, you're not following someone that makes you feel low about yourself, and so then you're going into 2020 with a healthier mindset. You can declutter that negative things that social media brought you maybe in 2019, so you can use social media in 2020 in a more effective, productive, happier way for yourself. So it's all about organizing and decluttering, but it's not just about organizing and decluttering your house. Organize and declutter your mind, your social media, whatever it may be, reflect on it. So yeah, that is, all the things that I wanted to talk to you about, what you need to do to really make the most of the last few weeks of 2019. I think 2019 has been such a crazy year, and I'm really, really looking forward to what 2020 has to bring. But I'm focusing on right now and making the most out of this moment so I can jumpstart 2020 in the right, proper, happy, healthy mindset. So I hope that these little tricks and tips helped you so you can start 2020 a lot happier and live your best life. So thank you so much for listening to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. And as always, I had such a great time talking to you about life and happiness today. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like and follow us on social media, and leave a 5-star review. It is greatly appreciated. Till next time, thank you.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find the show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows from the GSMC Podcast Network, from sex and relationships to health and wellness, life and happiness, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast.